for this budget, which could be used for somewhere else. You're a poor manager. Or if the cost exceeds to 1800, you're also a poor manager, right? So why these things are happening? Because there is no good internal control established. You can say that, okay, if this is 1100 makes sense, to even 1200 makes sense. But look at that, the discrepancy is huge, right? So maybe it's because originally you have documented that it's going to be done in 1000, but then kickbacks, embezzlement occurs. That's why you spend 1800. That's why you need audits. Adequate records, you maintain the details of the transactions, also maintain hard copy plus electronic copy. Because electronic copy can be edited. That person who has the password, you can bribe him and he can edit the soft copy of it, right? Limited access. So don't give everybody, like I told you, the bank vault. No, not everyone has the authorized access. Only some people they have authorized access. Plus, the vault has 2 keys, and in order to open the vault, the person must be present at that time, right? So this kind of system is called limited access in order to establish internal control. For example, physical access to assets, you limit that one. Lockbox systems, locks and keys, passwords, encryptions, right? And the last one is proper approvals. So for example, if you are paying someone huge amount, then you need approval from our credit department. If you are purchasing huge amount of money, supplies or even regular supplies, because this is our regular supplier who provides us the raw material, you need approvals from the manager, right? If you need to hire people, you also need approval from human resource department as well, right? So all of these, basically, these are establishment through establishment of the procedure through internal control. So information technology is very important. Why? Because nowadays businesses are going global and e-commerce is at its peak. Plus, so there are new systems. You can see electronic sensor, barcode reading. They also, it also fasten the trade, the commerce. So it means the chances of having fraud also increased, right? So plus you are using all these systems, computers, to improve speed and accuracy. So you cannot avoid it. You have to use that one. So proper establishing controls not only improve your productivity, plus also increase your speed and your customers and your survival as well. Safeguard controls. For example, if this is the extra layer of control, for example, fireproof vault. You have allowed the limited access, right? But there is, for example, a motive. If I cannot get it, nobody can get it. And the person just, do something and, for example, fire the building. You don't have established control inside to have fire, radiance over there. So it will also give you a huge damage. Or a lapse of electrical circuit, something, it caused fire. So you installed fireproof vaults. This is also going to decrease the chances of fraud, and also it decreases the chances to have damage in companies' properties as well. Job rotation, how it can safeguard the controls. For example, in banking industry, if a person, for example, who is handling the cashier, if he is present 365 days in a week, or not 360, I think it's 320, because there are going to be Fridays, weekends. For example, workable days are 320. if cashier is not taking any leave, it means he's on something or he's planning something big. So that's why in banking industry there are mandatory holidays for cashiers. So they can go out and they must be transferred from branches to branches so that they are not comfortable with one place, so they know or they can establish their own control over the business properties, right? So that's why job rotation is also a win-win situation in which employee also learn about different departments, different branches. Also, it will safeguard your controls for protecting the company's assets and also from the fraud. Like mandatory vacations as well, security cameras, loss prevention specialists. You hire a consultant and you can give them scenario. What is the worst scenario that can happen to this office, right? And then you can have alarms, and also you can fill fidelity bonds with the employees. If something bad happens, then you guys are responsible and you will be covering all the loss. So if you are having e-commerce, then internal control, you need to have extra layer. That means an extra cost for that one. For example, you need to give encryption and firewalls as well, because you are in e-commerce, and e-commerce pitfalls or e-commerce most common frauds can be stolen credit cards, computer viruses, and then phishing expeditions, right? It is also very important that you can just change the numbers and you can show others that these are the numbers, but at the back, these numbers are like completely forged. So limitation of internal control, cost and benefits. If you have a small company and you are very curious about your security and all those stuff, then it means you are not doing well. Why? Because the cost outweighs the benefits. If you're a big company, then establishing all these tight controls, extra layer of protections, that suits you. Why? Because then the financial impact of having fraud and damage of the property is going to be huge, right? So if you want to be 100% protective, cost going to be huge. Then you must compare the cost and benefit. So ways internal control can be circumvented through collusion, management override, fatigue, and negligence. Why people are not establishing, or they are reluctant in establishing these internal control? Either there is a clash of departments, either the management don't consider it, that is, it is worthable because we are good people. For example, we are Norwegians, and Norwegians are happiest nation on the earth. Our happiest index is huge, so we are not going to do any fraud to our company. Plus, they think that it's extra work to establish control, and it creates fatigues, and they are not giving it. They're not taking that one seriously. Between they are very negligent in establishing the control, right? So all of these three should be viewed in terms of benefits and cost. If you are small companies, then you can let it go, okay, because of collusion, management override, or fatigue. But if the company is big, then you make it as a part of their responsibility. Okay, now let's talk about some concrete numbers. Up till now, what we have discussed, some subjective analysis, some boring part as well. Let's talk about some interesting part. Design and use a bank reconciliation statement. Let's talk about this. Here we go. So documents used to control a bank account. So since the establishment of banking era, everything is very smooth. We don't need to take huge cash inside the company, we can just directly deposit to the bank, and bank can give us so much number of facilities, transfer, easy access of cash anywhere. And now this is globalization, anywhere in the world as well, right? So documents to control account: signature card, deposit ticket, check, bank statement, and bank reconciliation. So that person who is authorized to sign the check, deposit ticket, for example, we have a receipt, and then check itself, it has a number as well. Receipt has its time and all those stuff. Bank statement. Bank statement is that statement which banks send you after every month, that this is your banking account situation. At this time, you send the money, or the money is coming back to your account. It's like that. So all you have to do, you need to make a bank reconciliation statement to tally your cash book. Cash book is called the book that you are maintaining, you are recording. So on the one side, you are, as an accountant, you are maintaining the balances of the cash book, right? On the other side, the bank is also maintaining your account, and you can check it online as well, right? So normally what happens, bank statement, the bank balance normally is not equal to cash book. Does that mean the cashier or accountant, they are making fraud? Not necessarily. Let's see that. So this is, for example, the remittance advice. So they give you a lot of information, how much amount, date, the number. So you can just verify that in a check system. If even if you know one thing, either date, the amount, or the check number, you can find out the amount, or who cashed that, who deposited that. So there are a number of ways to do that. So I'm not going into that one. Here we go. So this is the bank statement who gives you the, the banks email you or send you a hard copy. So you see here, it looks like this. So this happened at this time, a deposit occurred, right? And these are our service charges. And these are some checks that we cleared. And these are NSF, which is non-sufficient fund. So when on 12/4, the check came, and at that time your account was not having even $50. So we just reject that cash because this check is bounced or NSF, right? And then insurance, we just